Islam, Islam, Islam. I'm gonna trust people will come into the. Put the link up. I'm just gonna wait for some people to come in. Not sure what's going on today, but I'm sure the weather has a lot to do with what's going on today. Islam has a lot to do with what's going on today. I trust all is well. Happy Sunday. I guess we're not going to be dealing with them today. Let's see here. It ain't going to happen on there today, I guess. Nope. So it looks like we're having some technical difficulties once again. I'm going to wait to see who's going to come in. Welcome to Sunday School. No, I don't want to do that. Welcome to Sunday School, the Guiders of the Nation, Sunday School. Because out from your Sunday School comes the Guiders of the Nation, right? Um, I don't know what's going on with our TikTok today, but we may not be live on TikTok and just have to stream these things on TikTok later. I think that's what we'll do. Um, I trust all is well with everyone. Everyone's having a good day. I don't do live on Instagram too tough, but maybe we'll just do a live from Instagram today because I think this is a important topic for today, right? So we're gonna get into this thing. I was waiting to see. Let me send this link over to our dear sister. I'm glad this is being recorded because then I could just blank this part out, right? Um, Let me get her a link really quick. 97 followers are active right now. Okay, we're gonna do that in a minute. Let me send this link because I don't think it got sent. So we're gonna send this out. No, we don't want that one. We're gonna go to the other one. We're gonna log into this one and then we're gonna get started with this presentation. So we are live right now. Let's see. Let's go on and invite some guests in to come in here and check out this stream that we're gonna do today. And it's based on, are you jumper cables for dead batteries? That is the title for today. Are you jumper cables for dead batteries? A good question, right? Because sometimes we have to ask ourselves, are we being jumper cables to dead batteries? And how Jesus, Allah, has always been the jumper cables to us as dead batteries. Never leaves us, never forsakes us, never turns his back, not talking of none of that. Full of love. And I'm going to show you how most people only take out the parts of God that they want to call for themselves, not the fullness of who Allah is. And when you start taking out parts and not the fullness, then you know what can happen from there, right? So we're going to get started with this meeting. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7. And love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Can we all stand as we recite our Moorish American prayer? We turn to the east as going within. We put up 5 fingers on the left with 2 on the right with our heels touching one another. Standing on our square. Repeat after me. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Islam. Islam. I like to first rise giving the highest praises To our Father God Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Also giving high praises to Allah, the mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life that breeds justice, mercy, love, and right. I want to also rise giving high holy honors to our illustrious and divine prophet, the founder of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, or the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I would like to also rise and give honors to all the divine prophets for all the wonderful works that they brought unto us. Because here in the Moorish Science Temple of America, we honor all divine prophets. So that's Buddha, Confucius, Jesus, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, it's etc., etc., etc. Confucius, Buddha, all of them. We honor all divine prophets for all these wonderful works they brought unto us. Muhammad, all of them. We don't just stop at one and feel just one is there. And then, because then when you're just saying that one is there, then you're saying that spirit no longer lives. And the spirit continues to live. The spirit doesn't go anywhere. So we give honors to all the divine prophets for all the wonderful works they brought into us. Islam. Giving honors to each and every one of you here today on these platforms, whether you're on StreamYard, YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. We give honors to you, each and every one of you, for joining us here today. The title of our Sunday school class today is, Are You Jumper Cables for Dead Batteries? Islam. We got to do some house cleaning real quick before we get into this lesson. It's always rules that you must follow. We have a constitution because we are a nation of people. A lot of our people don't realize that they're a part of a nation, but we're all a nation of people. And in order to be a nation, you have to have a nationality. So what is your nationality? That is the one thing that will get our people in a whole lot of trouble during mass deportations, of not even understanding what nationality is all about, or not understanding what your nationality is. So we come here on Sundays so that we could, Sundays and Fridays, because we were instructed to take this message to all four corners of the world, right? To raise our thoughts and also the people and people around us, their thoughts to infinite wisdom, back to the highest plane of life with our Father God Allah. So we're going to get started with these laws. And go from there. My apologies for the so we're gonna go on and let's get into these laws. We come on early because we know most people are usually asleep around this time. We're gonna go on early, get on early, and get this thing started. It's 11:11. All praises due to Allah for always divine time. When He brings us on a divine time, it's always in His time. The divinity, Islam, because this is a divine and national movement. Islam, the Moorish Science Temple of America, Salvation, Allah, Unity, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1, the Grand Sheikh and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God, Allah. Islam. Now for the additional laws for Moorish Americans by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh is the governing head of our temple. All business of said temple must be approved by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, before being acted upon by any member. Let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the member to sacrifice finance, that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under heavy restriction, etc., by the prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend their ADAP meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second case will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 4. All members, while up making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guidance of the nation. Act 6, with us all members. So we repeat Act 6 and Act 7 as a part of our Constitution because it needs to be repeated so that it's understood. The Constitution breaks down what we're all about. When people are wondering, well, what are we about? This is why we read the Constitution, so you can understand we follow under certain laws and acts that we are supposed to be about. So Act 6 is very important. Act 7 is very important. So that's why they're repeated. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people, everyone out here, we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. So not just about your nationality, we're teaching you about your divinity also. Divine creed and nationality. Some people just want to tell you what your nationality is and never tell you that there's a divinity part behind this all. There's a divine part behind this. And that divine part is what helps move the national part. So if you don't have the divine part, you're not going to get the national part. You're going to run yourself ragged and you're going to look crazy out here because you need Allah to guide you. You need the Spirit to be within you to guide you. So it gives you the words to speak in an intelligent tone, in a soft space, out of a loving place. If you're just out here with nothing to guide you, not a guide, because Allah is our guide, not a guide, not no one to guide and help tame the mouth, not a good thing. This is why this is important. This is why we read these laws. These are acts, and these are the way we should be acting, because it's character building around here. So to continue, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part impartial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Islam, Act 7. All members must properly attend their meetings and become a part and partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God, Allah. Islam. So first, I want to talk about in these acts and in these laws that we abide by, especially in Act 6. You may ask yourself, well, how can you be recognized by the government in which you live in the nations of the earth? By proclaiming their nationality, your free national name. Well, you have to go down and you have to abide by whatever your state rule says you have to do in order to proclaim your free national name, to be recognized by the government in which you live in the nations of the earth. There was just a brother on Facebook or TikTok yesterday doing a demonstration to the police officers and literally asking them if they knew what their nationality was. And he broke down every neighborhood to them. And they could tell you the nations of people that were there, whether it was Chinatown and its Chinese people, Greek town and its Greek people. It was a nation that was mainly derived of these areas. But when it comes to us, there's no one knows that answer a lot of times. And even the Chinese man says, I'm Chinese American. The other dude that was just from China said, I'm just Chinese from China. But they understand the connection of nationality. And that's what the important part of this is all about. When we come on to teach you about your nationality and your divine creed. And as I say, your divinity has to play a major role in this. The spiritual part to be encompassed in this. You can't get around it. Most people do, but that's why our prophet stands in the middle of this constitution. He stands in the middle. There's no getting above them, below them, through them, around. No way you can get around this. You have to follow these instructions. These are instructions. These are acts. So in order for us, so you know what we're teaching, you know why we show up on these platforms. This is why I'm always reading our Constitution. So Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Well, what is your sinful ways? Does everyone know what their sinful ways even are? Your sinful ways is you chasing after gods of Europe, which you knew nothing about. That's one. Staying under an iron hand oppression of someone that you don't have to stay under. When understanding, if you know thyself, you'll know Allah. But you have to first know thyself before you can even know God, before you can even reach that pinnacle of wisdom. You got to know thyself. That's the important part of this. It's not always about the preaching part and this and no. It's about, do you know thyself? Do you know yourself well enough to know God? Because if so, then you know within that heart must be of love, that you must move in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice at all times. It's the fullness of Allah. This is why the chapter that I chose today is what it is. And are you jumper cables for dead batteries? Because Allah's always jumper cables for us. And we just dead batteries majority of the time. But he don't leave us dead. But we got to learn how to take on the fullness of Allah and stop taking the parts of Allah which we feel are comfortable for us. It's no different than people taking parts of the 10 Commandments and taking out what's comfortable for them. Well, I'll take out 2 and 4, and I'm not going to abide by none of the rest of them. But I swear I'm highly blessed and favored. But I ain't followed all 10 of them commandments. Some people will take 42, the laws of Ma'at, the 42, and they're only going to take out what they feel, them, which 42 fit them. When you should follow the whole thing. It's the wholeness. This is the wholeness. This is why the Holy Temple of Science was taken off of the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America, because holy was no longer there. No one was holy or being holistic in this thing or taking Allah for his wholeness, or God in the wholeness of who God is. Everybody wants to take their parts from God or name the part of God that fits them. Because man's God today is not his God tomorrow at all. Islam. So this is why we're going to get into this chapter. So the sinful ways of holding on to these labels that we've allowed them to place on us as Black, Negro, colored, African American, Ethiopian, whatever. You should know the nation you come from. That's not speaking radical. It's not speaking racist. Everyone else can be proud of their race. Everyone else is proud of the nation that they come from. They walk around with it proudly upon them, on them. You can see it on them, whether it's the headdress, whether it's the way they're dressed, you can see it on them. The holisticness of who they are. They're going to represent their divinity. And also it represents their nation a lot of times. Islam. So the sinful ways that we're constantly riding behind, we're constantly caught up under, that we need to let go. Need to let go and become a nation of people that are upright, fearless. You don't have to be radical. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be violent. None of that. When the prophet left us these instructions, it was specifically to teach us how to love instead of hate. Because we hate so much. We hate on each other so much. So learning to love instead of hate is a major thing. Because most don't. They can say they do. They can say, I'm in love with this girl. I'm in love with this car. No, you're not. It's just the physicality of the thing that you're in love with. But if you really, somebody had to ask you, well, why? And you had to break down the real reason that you love that person or that thing, you wouldn't even have an explanation for it. 9 times out of 10, you don't even know why you love it. Oh, because she's pretty, or because he's fine, but that's so, what else? What else makes you, if that person didn't have these looks, if they lost their limbs or any of that, would you still love this person for the fullness of who they are? Are you just going to take apart the parts that fit you? So are you jumper cables for dead batteries at this point? Are you a jumper cable for dead batteries? So we're going to get into this chapter. Chapter 10 from the Divine Instructions. Well, let me first tell you where this is coming out of. This is coming from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Circle 7, divinely prepared by the noble prophet Jurali, by the guidance of his Father God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his Father God Allah. So wanting to raise you back to the highest plane of life with your Father God Allah. That's a serious jumper cable to keep that negative and positive on that battery, so it can raise you back to the highest plane of life with your Father God Allah. Giving you the full juice, making sure that battery is fully charged, Not halfway charged, not a little bit charged. Some people want to pour a little water in their battery to help it get on. But sometimes you just need a new battery. Sometimes you need a new battery, right? Hold on. Yes, ma'am. Islam. Oh, that's all right. All right. Islam. Wrong call. But anyway, okay. So are you jumper cables? Are you jumper cables for dead batteries? Constantly, like in your life when you're dealing with people, are you constantly charging them and then have nothing left for self? I just want to know. Because here in chapter 10, Jesus spake on the unity of Allah and man to the Hindus. This is the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 10. Benares is the sacred city of the Brahms. And in Benares, Jesus taught. Eudraco was his host. I wanted to know more about this sacred city of Benares. The sacred city, sketches of Hindu life and religion from the archives, explores various aspects of the historical and religious significance of Benares, also known as Varanasi. Where is my schoolwork? Because as I was reading about the sacred city of Benares and what they did and what they believed in, wow, it took me back to class. I am in Ayurvedic school. So mighty funny how Benares, the sacred city of the Brahms, is in India. It's the Hindus. That's why this is to the Hindus. He spake to them on the unity of Allah and man to the Hindus. So there's this book that you could look up. Where is it? It's called, I looked up the Benares, the sacred city of the Brahms, and there's a book that came up. And in this book, the document discusses how Benares has always been a place of great interest due to its role in the development of two major world religions, Brahmanism, which is Hinduism, and Buddhism. Benares is described as having a unique location on the banks of the Ganges River, which has contributed to its long-standing sacred status. The arrival of Aryan tribes in the Ganges Valley and their establishment in the area around Benares is highlighted with an approximate timeline of their settlement between 1400 and 10,000 BC. 10,000 BC. It delves into the idea that the special sanity of Benares might stem from pre-Iranian primitive sun worship traditions, which were then integrated into Brahminical practices. The religious significance. The text emphasizes Benares as a central hub for spiritual and cultural evolution, primary for Hinduism and Buddhism. Right? So this is in India. So this is Benares. And so Jesus taught there. Jesus taught here. And remember, Jesus taught from the age of a little boy. He was 12 when he started teaching. He truly wasn't this grown man that our biblical stories give us. He was a child teaching, and he went into the temples to teach. So, this goes back so far. So there's an interesting theory that Jesus referred to in India, referred to as Isa. In some traditions, traveled to India and spent time in Benares during his last years, the period between his childhood and the start of his public ministry. They say the last years. They said travel to India, spent time in Benares during his last years. Jesus had last years here. This is where this sacred city comes from. So even when they're always asking for receipts, the Prophet Noble Ali knew what he was doing. He was very intentional by leaving us this information. He wasn't going to leave us something that we couldn't trace ourselves back to. He was going to make sure that we could trace ourselves back. Thus, we know. He wasn't going to leave us stuck there. Islam. So in some traditions, he traveled to India, spent time in Benares, and during his last years, the period between his childhood and the start of his public ministry. Publicly, childhood, he was doing that in private. According to some accounts, Jesus engaged in intense study of Hindu spiritual texts, like the Upanishads, or something like that. I'm not sure. Y'all know I will tear up a word. And Bhagavad Gita, and later incorporate some of these teachings into his own discourses. It's a fascinating idea that blends Eastern and Western spiritual traditions, though it's important to note that this theory isn't widely accepted in mainstream historical or theological scholarships. They don't accept a lot, Like I said, some people want to accept the fullness of Allah, some don't. Some only want parts of Allah. Some only want to look at certain parts because it fits them. So they may not, everybody ain't going to take it for what it is, but we need the wholeness of Allah. We have to be engulfed in the wholeness and the fullness of who God is. Islam, I want to talk about Eudraka, because Eudraka was a host. He was a host, right? And Eudraka, so I was like, well, who is Eudraka? Also known as Rampaputta, was a sage and meditation teacher in ancient India. He is recognized in Buddhist tradition as one of the teachers of Gautama Buddha. Here are some key points about him. Eudraka, he was a meditation teacher. Eudraka taught refined states of meditation known as the formless attainments. Buddha's teacher, after leaving his father's court, Gautama Buddha sought out Eudraka as a teacher. Eudraka acknowledged Buddha's superior meditation skills and offered to become his student. Rim of neither perception nor non-perception. Eudraka had attained a meditative state called the sphere of neither perception or non-perception, which Buddha also mastered. Buddha's departure. Despite Eudraka's offer, Buddha chose to continue his journey, seeking further enlightenment. Eudraka's teachings on meditation were later incorporated into Buddhist practices, but Buddha himself did not consider them significant for complete liberation. Right? So, I'm going to finish reading and then I'll go back to there. Jesus spake on the unity of Allah and man to the Hindus. Benares is the sacred city of the Brahms, and in Benares, Jesus taught. Eudraka was his host. Eudraka made a feast in honor of his guest, and many high-born Hindu priests and scribes were there. And Jesus said to them with much delight, I speak to you concerning life, the brotherhood of life. The universal Allah is one, yet he is more than one. All things are one. By the sweet breath of Allah, all life is bound in one. So if you touch a fiber of a living thing, this includes each other, y'all. If you touch a fiber of a living thing, you send a thrill from the center to the outer bounds of life. And when you crush beneath your foot the meanest worm, you shake the throne of Allah and cause the sword of life to tremble in its sheath. The birds sing out its song for men, and men vibrate in unison to help it sing. The ant constructs its home. The bee is sheltering calm. The spider weaves her web, and flowers breathe to them a spirit in their sweet perfume that gives them strength to toil. Everything, even right here, when we're talking about the unity of Allah and man, because Allah, he's more than one. All things are one. So even the bird that sings out for men and men vibrate in unison to help it sing. The ant constructs its home. Where we're showing, like, look, the ant constructs his home on its own, like Allah gave, because Allah is even there. The bee is sheltering calm. The spider weaves her web. And even with the flowers that breathe to them a spirit in their sweet perfumes that give them strength to toil. So they breathe on them sweet perfumes that the flowers they're still going to toil, regardless of what's going on. Regardless, they're going to toil. And they have the strength to toil. Islam, thank you. Islam, sis, you're our beautiful back. Islam. Now, men and birds and beasts and creeping things are deities made flesh. And how dare you kill anything? How dare you kill anything? It is cruelty that makes the world ari. When men have learned that when they harm a living thing, they harm themselves. They surely will not kill nor cause a thing that Allah has made to suffer pain. A lawyer said, I pray to Jesus, tell who is this Allah you speak about? Where are his priests, his temples, and his shrines? And Jesus said, the Allah I speak about is everywhere. He cannot be compassed with walls, nor hedged about with bounds of any kind. So you can't box Allah in. You cannot box Allah in. That's why I say the prophet makes it plain and simple. You can't get above me, around me, or through me. And I'm holding back this fire from catching you. I just talked to y'all about the wonders of the world and where he's one of our wonders of the world. He's the 10th wonder of the world that's holding back the fire so it don't catch up to us. But in a minute, he's stepping away and the fire's just going to catch on to everybody. It's over with. So we have to understand we cannot hedge him in or bound him in no kind of way. All people worship Allah, the one, but all people see him not alike. All people see him not alike. I want to finish this before I continue to go down, because there are some certain points I want to make when we get down to this bottom of this chapter. So I wanted to summarize the page that I was reading, right? So the page from the book, Benares, the Sacred City, Sketches of the Hindu Life and Religion by E.B. Havel, provides insights into the early worship practices and beliefs of the Aryan people as they settled in India. Here are the main points. Now remember, early worship practices and beliefs of the Aryan people as they settled in India. I'm sure somebody was there before them. The Vedic deities. It describes various gods from the Vedic period, including Deus, Pitar, Heavenly Father. This is where I want to get to. Prithvi, Mother Earth. Varuna, god of the sky and sea. Indra, rain god. Agni, fire god. Surya, sun god. And Sarvati, sunshine god. The hymns from the Rig Veda and Atharva Veda are cited to illustrate their significance. Okay, like I said, I'm in Ayurvedic school, so this just it coined it, like this even gives it where I said, wow, I could go and even in class in studying Ayurvedic medicine and Ayurvedic, these words are used. The Agni is fire. The Agni is fire, literally. That's the element of fire in Hindu. Like when you go back in Hinduism or Indian traditions, Agni. The Prithvi is my Prithvi. Okay, because you have these. Let's go to Prithvi because I want y'all to know what. Oh no, I have it right here. Matter of fact, where's my little notes? Prithvi. I have so many notes, but it's just where is it at? I wanted to tell y'all, and I should have had them out to begin with, but I didn't. But a lot of these words that are even used in this context, I can go to my classwork and see it and be like, wow. So it just really gives it so much meaning. Hold on, where are we at? I know it's over here because I just did these my little flashcards yesterday. But the Agni is the fire, and it's a digestive fire. All these different effects you have, because you have these doshas in you, the kapha, the vata, the pitta. All of these are like within each and every person, and each one of these Vadadoshas can be off. It's like studying chakras, y'all. I'm telling you, this is just like studying chakras. And man, where is my note with that on there? I cannot believe I can't. It usually is right in my face too. Well, here it is. Prithvi, Earth, structure of cell membrane. So remember, I just said Prithvi, as it describes the various gods of the Vedic period, Prithvi being Mother Earth. Prithvi in Ayurvedic medicine is Earth. That's what it is. Agni is fire, various metabolism. The Vayu is the air. The Akash is the ether, and Jala is water. So it's funny how when I was reading this, I was like, wow, these are the same words that I'm recognizing from class. Beautiful, right? So those are the 5 elements, but in Indian tradition, that's what they're called. The Akash, the Vayu, the Agni, the Jala, and the Prithvi. Islam. All right, so early Aryan life. The text portrays a simple pastoral life of the Aryans, characterized by nature, worship without idols. Worship without idols, right? Islam, worship without idols. Where am I at? The early Vedic hymns reflect a joyful and harmonious relationship with nature. Religious rituals. It details the Aryan rituals, which involved burnt sacrifices, oblations, and libations, accompanied by hymns of praise and prayer. The head of the family initially performed these rituals, but over time, a separate class of priests similar to Druids emerged. The philosophical speculations. The Aryans began to explore philosophical questions about the origin of existence, which laid the foundation for modern Hinduism. So I wanted to get that done and over with. Greetings, Ja. How are you? Islam. To get through that. So we're going to continue on out of chapter 10 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Islam. So I was at where it says, we'll go back to 10. It is cruelty that makes the world Ari. When men have learned that when they harm a living thing, they harm themselves. They surely will not kill nor cause a thing that Allah has made to suffer pain. A lawyer said, I pray to Jesus, tell who is this Allah you speak about? Where are his priests, his temples, and his shrines? And Jesus said, the Allah I speak about is everywhere. He cannot be compassed with walls, nor hedged about with bounds of any kind. All people worship Allah, the one, but all the people see him not alike. The universal Allah is wisdom, will, and love. All men see not the triune Allah. One sees him as Allah of might, another as Allah of thought, another as Allah of love. See, that's already a breakdown that you don't even see the fullness of God. You don't see the fullness of Allah because you're breaking him down into pieces. So some only see that arm or that leg or whatever. They don't see the fullness. So they can't be encompassed with the fullness of Allah. A man's ideal is his God. And so as man unfolds, his God unfolds. Man's God today, tomorrow is not God. So the same God that man may speak on today, oh, I'm so grateful that God blessed me with da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Today, that's his God. Tomorrow, oh, I'm going through da-da. So the God, that energy has lowered down. So now it's another God that he's obviously paying attention to, or she's obviously paying attention to, instead of seeing the fullness. Because even out of so-called bad situations or things that don't go so great, there's always some good in there. There's a lesson in there for you. So it's not that it's so-called bad. It's just that you got to pull a lesson from that. There's a lesson that you got to learn from it. Islam. The nations of the earth see Allah from different points of view. So he does not seem the same to everyone. Man names the part of Allah he sees, and this to him is all of Allah. And every nation sees a part of Allah, and every nation has a name for Allah. So everyone sees a part of him, not the fullness. Every nation does, every religious background does. They really don't see the fullness of Allah, because Allah is everything. Allah is all. This is omnipotent, omnipotent, beginning, end, omega, alpha. You have to see the fullness in order to get into this. Islam, you Brahms call him Parabrahm. In Egypt, he is Thoth. And Zeus is his name in Greek. Jehovah is his Hebrew name. But everywhere he is the causeless cause, the rootless root from which all things have grown. All things, not some things. All things have grown. All. When men are afraid of Allah and take him for a foe, they dress up other men in fancy garbs and call them priests, and charge them to restrain the wrath of Allah by prayers. And when they fail to win his favor by their prayers, to buy him off with sacrifice of animals and birds. I'm going to stop right there. When men are afraid of Allah and take him for a foe. So taking him for a foe, taking Allah for a foe? Really? They take him for a foe. So they'll dress up other men in fancy garbs and call them priests. We see that everywhere that you can look. They're garbed up in their fancy garbs and their headdresses and their jewels, and they come before the people. They dress them up, but that don't mean, what does that mean? What does that mean? Are you praising more of that priest and that body and that physicality of this material world? That's what you're praising. And that's who you're looking for. You're looking to dress him up and send him to Allah to answer your prayer. So you will give them sacrifice of animals and birds. What's the first thing you feed your leader from church or anywhere? The first time you take them to the house, you like, yeah, we got Sunday dinner. We got chicken. We got everything. It says to buy him off with sacrifice of animals or birds. The first thing you want to feed that leader is a bird. You do. This is what the layout is. But we are not supposed to harm anything. When we harm any living thing, we harm ourselves. That's including a chicken or anything. When we harm it, we're harming us. Even though you weren't a part of it, you still ate it. You don't know what that thing went through. You don't know what kind of energy was left in that animal that's going to come off on you. This is why we were to eat a certain way. Call it what you want, Old Testament, New Testament, we still supposed to eat a certain way. Because Allah placed things here. Everything has a reason for being here, a season and a reason for being here. It has to do its job. It has to toil. The flower has to toil. Every other animal that was placed here is here for a reason. Creepy crawly thing, any of that. All of it's here for a reason. When man sees Allah as one with him, as Father Allah, he needs no middleman, no priest to intercede. You don't even need a middleman to go up to Allah. You don't even need a middleman to go up to Allah. He goes straight up to him and says, my Father God Allah. And then he lays his hand in Allah's own hand, and all is well. And this is Allah. You are each one a priest just for yourself. And sacrifice of blood, Allah does not want it. He don't want your sacrifices. He don't want your sacrifice of blood. He don't want the sacrifice that you placed on that altar if you're sacrificing anything. He don't want your sacrifice. Give it to someone else. He don't want it. You think he wanted because that's what someone told you, but that's not what he wanted. Because we don't see the fullness of Allah. We're only pulling out the parts we want to see and what's comfortable. So we can get away with feeling like what's comfortable for us, and that's not. And this is Allah. You each one a priest just for yourself, and sacrifice of blood Allah does not want. Just give your life in sacrificial service to the all of life, and Allah is pleased. When Jesus had thus said, he stood aside. The poor people were amazed, but strove among themselves. Some said, he is inspired by Holy Brahm, and others said, he is insane, and others said, he is obsessed. He speaks as devils speak. But Jesus tarried not, Among the guests was one, a tiller of the soil, a generous soul, a seeker after truth, who loved the words that Jesus spoke. And Jesus went with him and in his home abode. Jesus, Allah, is always jumper cables for us, even when we dead batteries. Are you a jumper cable for dead batteries a lot of times and you feel that way, whether it's in your friendships, relationships, or whatever, that you're the jumper cable? You're always the one bringing the energy, the negative and positive, to connect to them, to help rise them up, to assist in rising them up. But if they can never see the fullness of Allah or the oneness of Allah, then you're doing nothing but putting cables on dead batteries that don't want to charge. They don't want to charge. They don't want to do it. And it could be maybe because you're the one giving the message and it's not someone else, of a stranger that looks a different way that's giving the message, because when it looks a different way, of a different skin tone or something, people take heed that this is the message and this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? This is what they take. This is the message. No, the message doesn't have to come from anything that looks a certain way because it's dressed up. I just told you, people dress up. They dress up priests because they're afraid of God. So they feel, oh, let me go up in here. He's dressed up, and pay him for my prayers. Pay him for my prayers. But the ant constructs its own home. The bee is sheltering calm. The spider weaves her own web. They ain't going to pay nobody. They toiling for themselves. They're toiling and happy to toil because they know what's on the other side. They see the fullness of Allah. Even through nature sees the fullness of Allah. Nature, you can learn to love through nature. Nature can teach everyone how to love. Be gentle with nature. You'll start being gentle with people and even gentle with yourself. You'll stop walking around like your chest is out and bigger than everybody. And when you do for someone out from a heart space, because Allah does it for you, he's your jumper cable. He's the jumper cable for you. And half the times you can't even give him the glory for being your jumper cable because you're so caught up in your ego. And ego ain't getting nobody nowhere no more. Nobody. It's not gonna work. The fullness of Allah is the only thing that's popping up around here. Islam, hi, how are you? Islam, Mysteria, how are you? I guess no one's speaking today. Islam, but so we have to really our relationship with Allah, our relationship with the Most High. Soul to soul, Islam. Soil to soul, Islam. Farming, yes, Islam. The tiller of the soil. That tiller of the soil, a generous soul. Soil to soul, that generous soul. A seeker after truth, who loved the words that Jesus spoke. Charge me up fully. I want to see the fullness of Allah. Forget the arm, because the arm looks strong. That's the part you want for you because it's strong and mighty. I want the fullness. I want the breastplate, the legs, the feet. I want everything. I want the fullness of Allah. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and also Allah, the mother of the virtues. Because over here we talk about both. We talk about that yin and that yang, that all one, that omnipotence, the oneness. Yeah, Mother Allah too. Because what we have to stop doing is taking mother out of this equation. Mother is the most important part of all of this. And most of the time, mothers are the jumper cables for dead batteries. Whether it's for your children, whether it's for the mate in your life, or whether it's for your friends. There's sisters out here that are just jumper cables for dead batteries. But please understand that you're supposed to be. You were called to be that. So even through the hurt and the pain, you have these scars like Jesus. You have stripes like Jesus. I know I do. But does that stop me from loving on people? Nope. Does that stop me from chasing after the fullness of Allah? No. I've been hurt in church, the temple, the conscious community, regular life folk, most spiritual folks. But it doesn't matter. That was for me to come in their life and leave an imprint. What they chose to do with it was on them. How they chose to misuse it was on them. Now, when they got an answer for the way that they treated these people in their lives, no matter what level you on or where you stand, you're going to have to answer for that. So even those that you didn't think would be sitting next to you will be sitting next to you. And you may have to turn to that person and apologize and right your wrongs with them. What if that's what heaven is all about? That you're going to sit next to the worst enemy that you thought that's your enemy. And you're going to have to come to agreement with them. Because that's your brother, that's your sister. Even in the bosom of a fool, the soul is perfect. So we talking soul plane stuff. We ain't talking about this earth plane. We ain't talking about this earthly manifestation. We talking about going to a whole nother level. A whole nother level. So being on the soul plane with your brothers and sisters, the brothers and sisters that you may not think should be there will be there with you. Just because you thought you had it all together, and you really didn't. Or you may not be there. You may stay stuck in a realm that's full of chaos. Because you didn't love from the proper place. You put conditions on love. Well, if they do this for me, if they do that for me, it was a condition placed on it. Allah don't have no conditions on the love he has or she has. Mother and father ain't got no conditions. They ain't talking about no, I love you because of this, because you praise me. They love us regardless. They love us in our most worst times. They love us in our best times. They're always being the jumper cables to us dead batteries. And we fall, boy. That battery lose all kind of energy. And they got to come back to recharge us again. So when you're called to do that, I had to learn even through all the hurt, understanding Jesus went through all of this. Jesus experienced being Negro, black, and colored. Jesus experienced his homies turning on him. Jesus experienced it all, but Jesus still continued the course, and he still loved on his people. And he still got out there to teach his people what they needed to know. So whether you're going to take it in or not, but you got to empty your cup out and put some good stuff in there. So this love has to reign supreme. So we are going to go into our one-on-ones before we close out this meeting. We'll go into our one-on-ones because it's always a question and a response to anything. And if you guys have questions, please, I don't know why these are coming up in private chat. Yeah, no, it's not. It's actually not live. It's on YouTube, so you're safe. We're not live at all. So I'm only live on Instagram over here and TikTok, but we're not live on this platform at all. Nah, I'm not doing the live thing on this platform anymore. I'm just going to do private because I feel people feel a little more comfortable when they don't have to be. Everybody don't need to know their business. You know what I'm saying? So it's fine if you would like to. I know you're always bringing such good information, even on your Facebook. So I know you go hard and I know you speak your truth. And I think that's what people have to stop being afraid of that. Stop being afraid to speak your truth. Just don't be afraid to do it because we must do it. We are being called and charged to do this thing. And when we don't, well, we probably gonna have to pay for some things because we didn't do what we were supposed to do. Okay, so I'm gonna go to 57 and I'm gonna go to 72. No, maybe I should go. No, okay, we're gonna go here. I'm just going to keep going. So this is out of our questionnaire. We have 101 questions and 101 responses to the question. So I call it the quest Aman. 57. Who were Adam and Eve? They are the mothers and fathers of the human family or human race, Asiatics and Muslims. Where did they go? They went into Asia when they got kicked out of the garden. What is the modern name given to the children? Asiatics. Who is guarding the holy city of Mecca today to keep unbelievers away? Angels. What is the modern name for these angels? Asiatics. Me and you. What is the shade of their skin? Olive. From the lightest to the darkest. Look at the olive from the lightest to the darkest. That'll tell you the color of the skin tone to the Asiatics. Are the Moorish Americans any relation to those angels? Yes, we all have the same father and mother. Father Allah, the father of the universe, the father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And mother Allah, the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life that breeds justice, mercy, love, and right. We have one father, one mother we all come from. Give 5 names that are given to the descendants of Adam and Eve. Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. What is the devil sometimes called? The lower self. How many selves are there? There's 2. All of this resides in you. What people represent the higher self? The angels who protect the holy city of Mecca. What people represent the lower self? Those who were cast out of the holy city and those who accept their teachings. So if you accept teachings of anything but those that come before you that look like you, you're a lower self. You represent that lower self. You represent the lower self. You accepted teachings that had nothing to do with you. You accepted gods that don't even have nothing to do with you, don't look like you. None of that. You've accepted everything outside of self. What is the higher self? The higher self is the mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life that breeds justice, mercy, love, and right. Can the higher self pass away? No. Why? Because it is Allah in man. That spirit don't go nowhere. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder spirit, ain't went nowhere. So even when it went into the other body that most people thought he had to go be reborn into a woman's canal to come out again, not true. You can be reborn a lot of times. When you dedicated yourself to Christ, you was so-called reborn, right? You could be reborn in many ways. You could take out your old self tonight and bring a new self in tomorrow. That's the power, and that's the powers we have within ourselves if we really want to work on ourselves. But a lot of people just love their lower selves, and they don't want to see Allah in them. It's just comfortable living in chaos. It's just comfortable not doing work on yourself. And as I say, coming in the Moorish Science Temple of America, this is a work on yourself. This is a character building movement. The Prophet's looking for strong men and strong women that know that their condition can be better. It says think their condition can be better, but I feel like we know our condition can be better. If we just put our thoughts and minds to it and press forward. We're not doing that. But I got something in the private chat. My fault. Right, I'm new to StreamYard. Islam, I love your content too, Islam. I really appreciate you. Really, really appreciate you. So this higher self and lower self. So we gotta ask, what does this lower self breed? Because I would say negative and positive, we can't really call that what it is because so many things you would like negative and so many things you would like positive. You would like a positive pregnancy test, but you want a negative AIDS test. You sure don't want a positive AIDS test. So see, to throw them words, we're not even going to speak on them words like that. So what does the lower self breed? Hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. So when you only in your lower self, what the people that represent the lower self, those were cast out of the holy city, and those who accept the teachings, the only thing they breed is hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. So what did the higher self say to the lower self at one time? Because you know this is in you now. This is within you. What did the higher self say to the lower self at one time when he met Satan? Where are you going, Satan? You're saying this within yourself. Where are you going, Satan? What was the answer that the lower self gave to the higher self? I am going to and fro the earth, seeking who I may devour. He travels to and fro, up and down that Jacob's ladder. Up and down your own Jacob's ladder. He travels to and fro to see how he can devour your mind, devour your higher self, and snatch you down here to your lower self. Snatch you down into your lower energies. Because that heart, this physical heart, is that pinnacle mountain where the devil tests Jesus, tempts him. Where within you, you're tempting yourself. You're tempting your God self, and you're allowing your lower self to tempt your God self. So it's really up to you to decide, do you want to be like the bee and construct your sheltering home? Or like the ant that constructs his home? We have to get up out of that, because that's doing nothing for us but holding us too heavy down on this earth plane. It's making us heavy, y'all. And we have to be light enough, light as a feather. The heart must be light as a feather. But it's going to take a group of us to keep that up. It's going to take a nation of people. It's going to take us as a nation to keep this thing right, to keep that balance. One can't even leave it because it's going to cause it to get heavy. We got to become light bodies, y'all. So light in our thoughts, our words, and deeds. Because everything starts with a thought. The sin starts with your thought. The sin is not in the act. The sin is not because you acted it out. The sin started in your mind when you first thought about the sin. And once you thought about the sin, you manifested it. You did it. So you acted on it. But it started with your desire, and it started with your wish. So that's why you can't desire or wish nothing on no one. No one, not even your enemies. Not even your enemies, because your enemies will be the main ones sitting right there next to you. Because I just told you, even in the bosom of a fool, the soul is perfect. You can't call that just because you see them being imperfect on the outside. The soul only searches for truth. That's all it wants from you. It's going to search for the truth. No matter how you try to fight it and say you don't want it, the soul is only going to search for the truth. That's its ultimate goal, is to get to truth. So speak your truth, talk your truth. Don't be afraid. Afraid of what? Allah is the protector and the provider. If you ever feel like you're not, you feel like you in danger, or you feel like some things are coming for you, call on them 5 points. Call on them 5 points. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Call on them. Allah will answer. Jesus will come. Jesus gets tired of us calling him. That's why the name was changed, because he gets tired of us calling his name and don't want nothing. We don't want nothing. Nothing that is going to uplift our people to go to the next level. We'd be always begging for what we want for ourselves and not realizing this ain't what this is about. We got to want the same for our brothers and sisters. We got to want the same for them. That's why Jesus came to speak about the unity of Allah and man to the Hindus. Because he wants to see his people be just as up, everybody be uplifted. And that Allah within you rises up into love. And that's all that you can do is love. Even those that you feel may not deserve your love, you still love on them anyway. Because that's what we're here for, y'all. We're here to help each other. I don't know everything. No, I don't. Don't claim to. But I love learning from other people. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want somebody to be way smarter than me, because I want to learn. Now, I don't want you to feel you're going to abuse me with your information, but I want to learn, and I'm going to listen, because you can pick up a lot from people. You can learn a lot from each other. Iron sharpens iron. We need each other. All this separation has to stop. That Christ-like energy, exactly. That Christo or that Christ-like within you. You have to tap into that. That first eye, I call it the first eye because we had one eye before we had all these other two. So that first eye, tap into your soul. Get you some reflexology, realizing the bottom of your feet, each point on the bottom of your foot has something to do with an organ. Get you some. Because maybe your heart chakra might be out of balance and might have to go in with some reflexology to unblock it. There's so many ways. You have to understand all these stories are about balancing you back, realigning you back to the creator, realigning you back to Allah, taking you back to your God self. So you're not looking outside of yourself to look for God. You know that that's within you. So anything and everything that you have desires for, you can manifest them. But just watch how your thoughts are manifesting, that you don't just cause confusion and a whole bunch of chaos in your life. Make sure you're coming from a loving space. Islam. So we are going to close this meeting out. I'm going to read some words from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Before we get out of here, Islam. The Moorish Science Temple of America, to the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This is an instruction from your prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on. But the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Drew Ali. And that is why many hearts have been turned to stone, and many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of those that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your profit. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temple. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I'm going to read one more, and it is a message to us. It's important we all claim our nationality. If you want to know how to claim your nationality, I'm going to say get with the temple so that you can have your nationality card. Islam, Islam. Because when they do this mass deportation, your nationality is going to mean everything. So make sure you know. Make sure you know. Go and join a temple. Ain't nobody said you got to give over, do nothing. Go join a temple. Get your nationality card and go learn about your divinity, because I'm telling you, the divine part is going to help with the national part. But we have to have the divine part because the prophet brought us our religion and civics and did not separate them. They're one in the same. But if you don't have the spiritual part, the divinity of this, you'll get yourself in trouble. I'll just say that. Islam. Divine warning by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims or governors ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. So right there, stop flashing it because it does cause confusion. It's going to come a time that you got to use it and that you should use it. But don't just use it because it's in your hand. There's a time coming where you're going to use it. This is why you can't be flashing it at them. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement, founded by the prophet noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Muslim that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. By the order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Islam. So to my people that are over here on TikTok, StreamYard, Instagram, if you guys want to know more or learn more about gaining your nationality card, inbox me. We can find a temple in your area. Find a temple in your area that you can connect with. And if it's not one in your area, we'll find one that's close to you, online, whichever. But you choose the temple you would like to go in. So I would say just do your homework on the people that are over these temples and just make sure it's a good fit for you. But you should get in there just to even learn your divine lessons so this divinity can carry you through and you can continue to move on in such grace and beauty and move in a loving way. Islam. So all meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Can we all stand as we recite our Moorish American prayer, the map? We put up 5 fingers on the left with 2 on our right, standing on our squares with our heels touching one another at a 45-degree angle. Islam, Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Islam. Islam family, thank you all for joining in today. I will send a copy out and post it on Facebook and other platforms if you would like to go back and visit. Islam. And I look forward to seeing you for Friday Holy Day right here. Depending on the time, I'll let you know. But I look forward to seeing you. And remember, we got the Taste of Africa coming March 22nd. The Taste of Africa ATL with music, food, lecture. We're looking for spoken word artists. We're looking for conscious rappers. We're looking for musicians of all types to bring our nation together. We're looking for this unity. We're bringing the unity amongst us. So we're going to be doing the best dressed African garb or Moorish garb, cultural garb, however you come. We're doing best dressed. We'll be giving cash prizes away for that. Thank you for Grand Governor Gates with Temple 21 here in Atlanta that is heading this and hosting this, and I will be your MC and helping put it together. So you guys come out and support. We have to start supporting each other because it takes finance to uplift the nation. And support the platform. Islam, support the platform. Support the StreamYard, the YouTube, the Instagram, the Facebook, support it all. We have a Facebook page that's all about the events that will be going on throughout our movement, and we'll be putting them there and placing them there. Also, check out the Uniting of Asian Sisters Auxiliary on Facebook. It's for everybody, no matter what your background of faith is. We want you in there because we need to build this nation, and it's going to take the sisters. The women are going to build this thing back to its proper status. We're going to build it back. So that's why we need strong women in the Uniting of Asian Sisters Auxiliary, no matter what your background is. I don't chart wherever you come from. We just need to come together and make this thing happen. All right, Islam, yes. And I can't wait for you too, sis. All right, so I will see you guys later. Peace and love. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy your family. Peace and love. Love you too, sis. I love you too, sis. Peace and love. Peace and love.